Brave suicidal survivor stories to recovery. Akash Pawar. Akash Pawar's childhood wasn't exactly smooth sailing. At an early age, he experienced bullying as well as physical abuse. His parents hit him due to matters like low marks in school and not doing his homework. While this way of enforcing discipline might have been the norm in some households, the things that Akash had experienced were more painful than usual. One time, his father hit him with a hot metal spatula. Another time, his father hit not just him but their family dog as well. The feeling of being alone pushed him to resort to drugs. He did have a friend in school, however, he was struck with despair when he found out that his only friend had committed suicide. The incident also opened up to him the option of ending his life. And so in 2012, he tried committing suicide by jumping off a train. Thankfully, a friend talked him out of it. The following year, he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, which causes mood swings, emotional highs and lows. In 2015, he attempted to end his life again, this time by overdosing with sleeping pills. He got hospitalized and underwent rehabilitation. Despite the setbacks, he kept going. He learned Buddhism, began reading books, and joined capoeira and yoga classes. He regained both his physical and mental strength. According to Akash, he has relapses about every 3 months, but he has things to look forward to this time. Despite his limitations, he's found purpose in life. By the way, let us know if you like what you're seeing so far by giving us a thumbs up. And if you want to watch more intriguing contents like this, do yourselves a favor and subscribe. Thanks a lot. Now, let's get back in. Lauren Kennedy. As a child, Lauren Kennedy lived a normal life, but in her teenage years, there were warning signs of an impending doom. She experienced mood issues and thought broadcasting, causing her to believe that others could read her thoughts. And yet, she maintained good grades. But during college, at the age of 19, Lauren was diagnosed with depression. At the age of 22, she began having thoughts of ending her life, and after seeking counseling at the university, her diagnosis was changed to bipolar disorder type 2. A few months later, Lauren attempted to take her own life by overdosing, which resulted in her being hospitalized. Upon release, she experienced hallucinations, hearing someone saying her name and sensing terrible smells. A year later, she overdosed again. But thanks to a wellness check, the authorities caught up and had her hospitalized. However, she was placed on life support for several days. After being discharged, Lauren returned to school. At this point, she was already pursuing a second bachelor's degree in social work. Unfortunately, just when things seemed to be going well, she experienced her first full-blown psychotic episode. Lauren had difficulty sleeping and was full of paranoid energy. A new psychiatrist changed her diagnosis to bipolar 1 with psychotic features. Despite setbacks, she finished her second degree and landed her dream job as a researcher. However, her hallucinations were far from over. Due to the belief that her medication was poisoned, she stopped taking medicine. Eventually, she had another full-blown psychotic episode. This time, her psychiatrist changed the diagnosis to schizoaffective disorder. While she got hospitalized again, her diagnosis was a source of relief as she finally understood what was going on with her. These days, Lauren is a social worker and a mental health advocate. She also has a YouTube channel, Living Well with Schizophrenia. Moreover, her husband, who handles the channel's video production, also has schizoaffective disorder. And despite the mental issues, they are more than capable of being loving parents. Shelby Rowe. Shelby Rowe's story is an excellent example of been there, done that. For years, she has been helping others who were on the brink of making an extreme choice. And she's on our list because she herself is a suicide survivor. At the age of 15, Shelby began having thoughts of ending her life, most notably after her great-grandmother's death. She worked up the courage to talk to her mom about going to counseling, only to be told to just, well, suck it up. Regardless, she spurred on. She was a math tutor, had good grades in school, and had 3 jobs. During her first marriage, which was an abusive one, she attempted to commit suicide. Less than 2 years into the marriage, She lost her husband in an accidental shooting incident, leaving her with PTSD and thoughts of ending her life. And yet, she pushed through, eventually landing roles in institutions working on suicide prevention. But at one point, her third marriage ended abruptly, driving her once again into a suicidal crisis. Shelby worked on suicide prevention while she herself was coping with suicidal thoughts. After another suicide attempt, she woke up realizing that something had to change. Shelby started Almost Home Ranch, which aimed to take care of the horses of deployed soldiers. While the venture almost bankrupted her, she had no regrets. Moreover, it helped jumpstart her recovery. These days, she is still working in suicide prevention. According to her, it's her purpose and it keeps her alive. Andy Sandness. Back in 2006, Andy Sandness' life hit rock bottom, suffering from depression and drinking problems. He was riddled with so much despair, he decided it was time to end his life. And so he shot himself at the chin with a rifle. But upon realizing what he had done, he understood he had made a terrible mistake. Police rushed Andy to the hospital, and miraculously he survived. But there was a repercussion, a shattered face. He lost his jaw, nose, and some vision in his left eye. 8 surgeries at the Mayo Clinic later, he headed home. However, life was no longer the same. He had difficulties when eating. Moreover, Andy suffered from insecurity due to his appearance. He wore a prosthetic nose, which he had to paint regularly to match his face. He isolated himself, avoiding making eye contact with anyone. But then in 2012, everything changed. His surgeon informed him that he would be the perfect patient for Mayo Clinic's face transplant program. 3 years later, a donor came. 21-year-old Kalen Ross had fatally shot himself in the head, leaving his 8 months pregnant wife widowed. After the doctors confirmed that Kalen's face would be a good match for Andy, they launched a 56-hour face transplant operation. A year later, he headed home, not just with a new face but also with the abilities he lost a decade ago. Moreover, he became friends with his donor's wife Lily and vowed to set up a trust fund for her son. Kevin Hines. When Kevin Hines was 9 months old, he got adopted. Apparently, his biological parents abandoned him in a flop house. At the age of 10, he had an epileptic seizure and was put on a Tegretol medication, which worked well. He was an athletic teen, playing football and wrestling. He was also fond of drama. So far, so good. At 16, Kevin was taking off Tegretol. But unknown to him, the medicine actually suppressed the symptoms of bipolar disorder, and he was never the same since. He had breakdowns, mood swings, and hallucinations, and was often irritable. During that time, there were other events that affected him drastically, such as the breakup of his foster parents and his drama teacher's suicide. And then fast forward to September 2000, his girlfriend broke up with him. 3 days after the breakup, Kevin leaped off the Golden Gate Bridge, plunging 225 feet into the river. Instantly, he got filled with regret. One thing about this place is that it has the highest suicide rates in the world, with 1,700 suicides since 1937. But miraculously, Kevin did not join the death toll. When he surfaced from the water, a sea lion kept nudging him, keeping him afloat until the Coast Guard rescued him. The incident left him shattered. Aside from the physical injuries, he was tormented with hallucinations, so he was transferred to a psychiatric ward. Regardless, he pushed forward. Now with a new lease on life, Kevin devoted himself to suicide prevention. He and his wife started Kevin and Margaret Hines Foundation, advocating mental health education and suicide prevention. He also pushed to have a safety net erected below the Golden Gate Bridge to keep people from jumping off. The safety net is set to be finished in 2023. At some point, the people we've just discussed thought suicide was a way out of their misery. But thankfully, they're proof that despite how bad things could get, we could still change things for the better. After all, there's still a light at the end of the tunnel. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Before we end, if you or someone you love needs help, don't hesitate to reach out through the numbers in the description. If you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. We appreciate you letting us know how we're doing, as we'll learn how to grow the channel further. Also subscribe and turn on the notifications to get front row seats to watch Canon's mind-blowing videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the next one.